All right, on this episode of Bowks Talking Bouts, got to shout out the sponsors real quick. Sovereign Extracts. You can check out some great THC cartridges, CBD, hybrid options, CBD oils, and the like. But also shout out to USG Canada. Some great apparel for boxers, MMA fighters, and for fans alike. And we've got a big fight coming up here. We've got Anthony Romero and Mike Breeden going at it. Dana White's Contender Series. It goes August 25th at the UFC Apex in Las Vegas, Nevada. And I've got Anthony on the show right now. How's your day going so far there, Anthony?
Oh, it's going fantastic. Just finished some training. I got to pack up my stuff and head to Vegas in a few hours. So everything's all rushed, but I'm enjoying life and enjoying the adventure. So.
Yeah, and what's the travel itinerary look like for that? Like, I mean, is it? I mean, obviously, it's not like a Fight Island level of complexity, I would presume. But I've heard even getting to Vegas in these present situations is a bit of a hassle to say the least. But I mean, what's your schedule looking like in that regard there?
Yeah, unfortunately, there's a layover, so I'm gonna have to stop and get back on. So it's about 6 hours total travel. Whereas if I was just going straight, it would be 4. But it's all good. I'm just going over there to have a little fun and then come back and get back to work. So.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, man. And yeah, I thought it was cool, like your upbringing in martial arts here. When I was checking out some of the stuff there, like you got going when you were 5 and got that black belt when you were 12, and had the Taekwondo foundation. I understand Patrick Cote and Anderson Silva was big early on for you as a fight. Like, how long thereafter did you get into MMA? Like, was it pretty much instantaneous? Like, this is the thing that I want to be doing.
Yeah, it's funny because around that time there was a gym that opened in my town. It was like 5 minutes from my house, and I wasn't really training in Taekwondo anymore because I hit that point. I don't want to say boredom because I don't want to offend the sport, but it was at that point where I didn't have an interest. I wanted to try something new, and I saw MMA, and then all of a sudden there's an MMA gym in my town. So I'm like, why should I not go there? Like I just want to try it and see what it's like, and I want to be like these guys. Like these guys are so cool, and they're like superheroes to me, and that's I'm so thankful that that happened, and my adventure started from there. So.
Yeah, and just the growth is really amazing too, because like I was saying, you started with the base and striking and stuff like that, but it seems like your wrestling game has made gigantic strides over the years and whatnot. Like I saw you competing at that Parabellum event that was centric on amateur wrestling. So can you speak to the growth and also just specifically what it was like to get to compete at that Parabellum event and put on the singlet?
Yeah, that event was actually my first wrestling match ever. I've never competed wrestling in high school or in university. I trained with the team here and there, but I never competed in regular tournaments or whatnot. So that was very nerve wracking for me to throw myself into someone else's sport. Um, but that's how you grow in the sport, by putting yourself into challenges and going through them. So that was exciting, but I can't thank my wrestling coach Chris Prickett enough. He's really transformed my game, not just showing me wrestling, but how to incorporate the wrestling into MMA. That it's not just wrestle, but wrestle with strikes, and you can use your wrestling with your jiu-jitsu and chaining everything together. So I can't thank him enough. Assistant coach at Brock University for wrestling. So yeah, he's one of my coaches that'll be coming with me to Vegas.
That's awesome. A great guy to be having in your corner. I mean, I always hear amazing things about just his abilities with coaching and stuff like that. But you mentioned like a gym opening up in the area, and I understand you're a Welland, Ontario lad. I've also trained a little bit at Modern Vision MMA there in Seaway Mall, but it also seemed like Napper's Boxing Club was pretty big for you early on. Can you kind of talk about your formative years in the sport and just your experiences at those respective facilities there?
Yeah. Like I no longer train at the gym in here in Welland.
Oh yeah, no Parabellum now, but yeah, just like the early goings more so.
Yeah. But yeah, that's how I started, and he showed me the ropes on what to do and the basic things, and really helped me a lot. Like obviously, I wouldn't be here without starting at that gym. So yeah, I'm very appreciative, and we gone our separate ways, but yeah, that gym is great, and as well as Napper's Boxing. It's always good to isolate a sport and dissect it and look at different things. Whereas if you're just doing MMA, there's so many things you need to worry about. So if you focus on the striking and see what you really need to work on, the best thing to do is to go to boxing or go straight to Muay Thai or just plain wrestling. So I found that helped my game a little bit.
In mentioning you're working with Parabellum, it seems like you're working with some other great facilities as well. I mean, you mentioned Brock University Wrestling, and I saw you over at Niagara Top Team and stuff, and some pics a couple years back at Burlington Training Center. Obviously, like nowadays the landscape's a little bit different. Like, what's the training looked like for like this fight? Like, is it just like certain social distancing things, keeping it to like a real small set of people with like in the Parabellum camp? Like, what's the preparations look like there?
Yeah, I have to obviously follow the rules, right? I have to make sure I'm safe as well, right? I don't want to be training for this fight, and then next thing you know, I'm like these other fighters going to the UFC fights being tested positive for the coronavirus, right? And I understand the mentality behind that. They want to train with all these people and they want to get better than their opponent, but there comes a point where health has to be the top priority. So yeah, we're training with small groups. I'm selecting guys that are like my opponent, and obviously guys that are better than me to show me things that I need to work on. And I'm sure Parabellum and Niagara Top Team have one of the best professional fighters in Ontario, let alone Canada. So yeah, I'm improving every day.
Yeah, some stellar camps for sure. A lot of great individuals from there. But I did mention, Brock University Wrestling. I understand your girlfriend is a university wrestler at Brock. How cool is it to have that kind of dynamic and that level of understanding with like what it is that you're doing out there? Like obviously there's the striking and jiu-jitsu involved too, but someone who would have like a fair bit of understanding of like some facets of what you're doing at the very least, right?
Yeah, wrestling room, and yeah, she's awesome. She's supporting me every step of the way. She's improving my wrestling, and yeah, so she's very supportive, and she always has a smile on her face, and I show up in the wrestling room and all that. So, but yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, and I mean, specifically to your opponent here for this fight, like I understand for your different bouts, the coaches mostly handle the tape study and stuff like that. But I guess I'm curious what your general level of familiarity is here, because it seems like your opponent has a 3-fight winning streak, all by TKO, and has competed on the LFA circuit and stuff like that. Like, what's your level of know-how with your opponent heading into this fight here?
I know he's good everywhere. He's at this level where he wants to go to the UFC, and so do I. And I'm expecting him to be great everywhere, and I have to be prepared to take the fight anywhere I have to win, whether it's on the ground or if he wants to strike, then we'll strike and someone's going to go down. But we have to be ready for anything, and I know in the fight a weakness will be pointed out, and we'll see that August 25th.
Yeah, for sure. And I was also noticing you had a pretty interesting fight opportunity last time out there. You got to fight during the Arnold Classic. You end up rubbing shoulders with Arnie there at all, or not so much?
I wish that was the beginning of everything, the beginning of the end, the coronavirus and everything. So unfortunately, they canceled that part of the event. They still had the fight and everything, but there's a lot of things going around that they wanted to cancel the event, like the government wanted to cancel the event, and then later we saw the UFC got canceled the weekend after. So yeah, I'm thankful that I got to squeeze that fight in, and but yeah, maybe one day Arnold will want to meet me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's going to happen at some point. I mean, you got to manifest it into the universe. I've got some faith there, but it seems like you've got a really, tight family dynamic. It seems like everybody's like martial artists to certain degrees. Like I was seeing your mom writes about MMA, and like you got a couple of martial artist siblings as well. Can you kind of speak to that dynamic a little bit? Because I think that's really cool, man. I mean, that has to be something that is like very enjoyable. Like you, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, the connection is a little bit choppy, but yeah, my family is amazing. They've supported me every step of the way since I walked into the dojo for Taekwondo. But yeah, my mom writes many stories, many articles, and they're awesome. You got to check them out. My brother, he also has his own podcast, Behind the Grind, and he's talking to a lot of guys, a lot of UFC fighters, and he's national champion boxer, Golden Gloves boxer. And my little sister, she also does jiu-jitsu, and she's a little superstar in gymnastics who wants to go to the Olympics one day. So yeah, we're all doing our own thing, and it kind of relates together, and we're always talking about it. We're always watching fights Saturday night. So it's pretty cool that we have that thing in common.
Yeah, I love hearing that, man, for sure. But it seems like teaching is a big thing for you as well, from what I was seeing. Like, how's that been going with all the coronavirus stuff? Like, is there a means to like teach people virtually or with certain social distancing considerations? Because I was noticing you do a fair bit of like fitness training with certain people. Like, has that been impeded by what's going on? Just a matter of readjusting the methodology, or what's going on with that?
Yeah, it was tough at the beginning. It was tough to really explain things. I got to really make sure the camera is focusing on my feet and the way I turn my hips for a striking class or for a fitness class. But people are enjoying it. They're happy with it, because if they didn't have it, they'd be kind of just sitting at home and doing nothing, right? So yeah, they're happy with it. They're happy that they have something to do, and yeah, it's pretty cool doing martial arts classes, doing fitness classes, private classes, all on Zoom right now. So I can't wait to get back at it in person, but for now everything's online.
Yeah, and I imagine just like teaching in general has probably like refined your own techniques and individual efforts as a martial artist. Can you speak to that a little bit? Just the growth individually that comes from teaching others?
Yeah, it helps so much. I've been teaching since I was maybe 13 years old. I was teaching. The classes would be called Little Ninjas, so they're like 3 to 5-year-old kids. And from then on, I fell in love with it, just repeating techniques over and over again. Because every year we would have a schedule. Like January would be guard week, and the next month would be guard passing, and just over and over, just repeating it mentally and showing people how to do it. So I believe that helps me so much. And now I'm even doing it online and looking at myself in the mirror, like make sure I'm showing everybody how to do it properly, that it's not just throw the punch and we'll move on. So yeah, it's something that helps me a lot, and something that I have a deep passion in.
Yeah, well, I love hearing that, man. And we were talking Niagara Top Team just a bit earlier there, and I mean, one of the guys that trains out of there, Aaron Jeffrey, he's got experience with the Contender Series circuit and stuff like that. I'm curious, has he imparted anything to you about that? Have you guys talked about that at all? Just different things to consider when competing in that kind of framework, or not so much?
Yeah, we've talked about some things, more of like for preparation. But other than that, I was there actually last year. I went on the trip with those guys, with my coaches and him, and I saw the whole environment. Even this year, it's at the Apex again. I know it's super cold in there. It's air conditioned, and it's not as hot as it is outside in Vegas. So yeah, I know the whole environment, and I know it gets pretty quiet in there as well. So it was nice to have that opportunity to go on that trip.
Yeah, I imagine that will pay dividends in the fight here, just the familiarity and all. But I was curious about the signing with Dodge Sports and everything like that. Like, how did that all come about, and what benefits have you seen from being part of that management team? Because they really seem to be making big strides.
Yeah. Dodge is amazing. Matthew Dodge, he's given me this opportunity. I remember the first time I talked to him. He was managing a UFC fighter, Andre Ewell. And we actually fought on the same card for King of the Cage, and I messaged him and I asked for the opportunity to kind of show me the way, and he has. Like, I asked him, like, can you promise me that we get to the UFC? And he told me honestly, he's like, it's my job to get you to the UFC, but at the end of the day, you have to win the fights, and that's what I've been doing. And he said, as long as you win the fights, then I will do my best to get you to that level. And seven fights later, there I am, or here I am now, having the opportunity to fight on the biggest stage in the world. So yeah, I can't thank him enough.
Yeah, it's great, man. I mean, you love to see it. I was also checking out some interviews you were doing ahead of this fight, and you were talking about training without music as a means of replicating the conditions of fight night. But when you're in a more normative kind of camp, I suppose, like, are there certain genres you really enjoy training to? Like, are there particular artists that you gravitate to? Is it more just like whoever grabs the aux cord, you're kind of fine with whatever?
Yeah, I've had to listen to some interesting things. I don't know if my coach Lyndon is listening, but he's into very hard, heavy metal, and I'm not a big fan of it. But I push through it, and I actually enjoy it. Like, it brings some type of, I don't know if I want to call it rage or something, and I get like really really pumped up and but yeah, if I was just driving the car, it's not something I would just be regularly listening to. But when we hit pads, he just turns it on, and this guy's screaming on the radio or on the speaker. I'm like, all right, let's go.
Yeah.
And it just pumps me up. So it's something different. But I'm really into hip hop, rap, Nas, Tupac, all those legends. That's probably my go-to when I'm driving. But other than that, I'm pretty chill with everything. My girlfriend has some fancy music she listens to, and I'm like, whatever, let's listen to that. And so I'm pretty easygoing.
Yeah, no, it sounds like I'd have fun, like, with whatever music you got, whether it's like you or Lyndon putting on the tunes. I feel like I'd enjoy it either way. So good you're jamming some good tunage over there and keeping an open mind about it. But you've been really great with your time here, man, and I want to be mindful of that too. Is there anything you want to add as a parting thought as we're wrapping up, though?
Yeah. Well, thank you for this opportunity. I really appreciate you asking for this time and having me speak and having people get to know me a little bit more. And I really appreciate that. My manager, my sponsors, my family, my girlfriend, my parents. Everyone's amazing. Everyone's so supportive, and I'm ready to make everybody proud. August 25th. So.
Yeah, it's cool to see some more fighters kind of out of that, like, Welland area too. Like, I actually went to college over there at Niagara College, so I enjoy seeing that, man. It's cool.
Yeah. Thank you again.
Yeah, it's going to be a great fight here. Dana White's Contender Series, August 25th, UFC Apex in Las Vegas, Nevada. We've got Anthony Romero and Mike Breeden going at it. Thanks again for the time, Anthony, and hopefully you have a great rest of your night. Best of luck with the remainder of your preparations as well.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.